Happy evening, friends. We are really fortunate to have our senior members, Pancharatnas. I can say Pancharatnas. It's a Gnana Sangama. Stalwarts of our profession, senior members, past presidents, galaxy of past chairmen, their juniors and members are present in this program. I can say it's a very special and unique program. After a long time, we are having this kind of an event, very remarkable event. We are conducting this program to felicitate and to know about their journeys, how they have reached their milestones, how they have created benchmarks in their respective profession. That's why we have this felicitation program as well as a small talk and their guidance to our members to inspire to reach their milestones, because they are the inspiration to young members, role models to all of us, and their life is their message. They're living like that, their achievements. It's a knowledge hub, I can say. We are really very fortunate to have all of them in a single platform. If I say what is the time allotted to this program is 2 hours, it's very, very less, but still we can take away a lot of things in this program. We can learn a lot of things. With this, I request our beloved chairman, C.A. B.T. Shetty, to request to escort all the guests onto the dais and welcome with bouquet. We have with us Ravishankar sir, Raghuraman sir, K.K. Chythanya sir, A. Shankar sir, and C.A. Naganand sir is going to join shortly. I request Sanjay Dariwal sir to come on stage. C.A. Naganand sir will join very shortly. I don't have much words to explain about this event or members. Each one are unique. Our sadhanage avare sati. There is no comparison to them. Thank you. I request chairman to render a welcome address.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Hearty welcome to Jnanarjane, Empowering Excellence. Friends, today we have arranged this unique program to recognize success in the profession of few of our fellow members. They have all dedicated themselves to the profession, acquired abundance of knowledge on various subjects, imparted such knowledge to students and fellow members, articulated that, demonstrated their knowledge before various authorities in the profession of law. To recognize their achievements, we have arranged this program, which in turn motivates, inspires our members, our young members and students to set goals and reach higher levels. They are role models for many. If more and more members and students come to know about their achievement, definitely that inspires them and motivates them to achieve at higher levels. All of them are becoming senior advocates of Karnataka High Court. Our senior-most senior counsel Naganand sir had to join, and our A. Shankar sir was senior counsel in the year 2018. Ravishankar sir, Raghuraman sir and Chythanya in this month. And it's a proud moment for all of us because they are members of our branch, Bangalore branch, and initially they have practiced as chartered accountants. Friends, and even today, they are actively participating in the branch programs, and they are coming as resource persons and sharing their precious knowledge and precious time to all of us. And they are always say and act as proud member of ICAI. Friends, on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants physically available here and those who joined virtually, our wholehearted welcome to CA KS Ravishankar sir. Hearty welcome, sir. On behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants and both physically and virtually available here, hearty welcome to CA Shankar. Hearty welcome, sir. Our warm welcome to CA Raghuraman, sir. Hearty welcome, sir. Our hearty welcome to CA KK Chythanya. Hearty welcome. He is the youngest achiever out of 5. Friends, to celebrate this occasion, we have with us our past president, CA K. Raghu. Hearty welcome to you. Actually, he is the initiator of this program. He, in fact, called on the day when we saw all the 3 names as senior counsel. He called me and said, it is an appropriate time to call all of them and make a small program for the benefit of our members and students. Then I thought it's the right time at the earliest. So in a very short notice, we made this program just because of him. Thank you very much. Friends, to celebrate this joyous moment, KSCA also joined. They said, we will also come. It is not that easy, all the 5 to call at a time. They said, we will join. I said, yes. To multiply the joy, I invited them also. Hearty welcome to President and Team KSCA. Hearty welcome to each one of you. Past chairman of Bangalore branch, always backbone for the branch. Our past chairman, Anil sir, and all other past chairman, Vishnu Bharat sir and Nagaraj Gupta sir. Hearty welcome to each one of you. Our senior member, hearty welcome. Yeah, SARC chairman, not only branch, SARC Vishnu Bharat sir. Hearty welcome, Mr. Shambhu Sharma. And Padam Chandra Kincha sir. Hearty welcome. Hearty welcome to all our beloved members who taken your time. We are here. If I miss any name, not intentional. Jatin sir, hearty welcome. Hearty welcome to each one of you. Hearty welcome to all the members present virtually, each one of you. You are the reason for this program. Your overwhelming response, whatever program we announce, you take interest and participate. That the reason we are able to conduct more and more programs, you are the reason. Hearty welcome to each one of you, friends. And I miss if I not say my committee members who are the support for all the programs. Hearty welcome Srinivas and other Panindra Gupta and all other committee members. Friends, with that note, once again, hearty welcome to each one of you. Over to Srinivas.
Thank you, Chairman, for rendering a welcome address. It's my privilege to give a brief introduction of today's guest. Absolutely, I don't think so. They require any introduction, but inspire young members to make them know what is their achievements. I'll just give a brief introduction of our guest today, our members. One of the unique thing is that all members, their rank holder from their graduation level to CA K.S. Ravishankar sir is having more than 38 years of experience, and he has given lectures in various forums, national and international forums. He presented papers. He continuously used to give a lecture in IM and so many CS Institute, CW Institute and CA Institute, presented papers on various forums, and he has authored many books, co-authored and authored many books. With this brief introduction, I present before once again CA K.S. Ravishankar sir. We have one more senior member, A. Shankar sir. He is a senior, designated senior advocate of High Court of Karnataka in November 2018. He is having more than 20 years of experience in our profession. He is a gifted orator and has presented number of papers in various national and international forums. He is extensively involved in wide and varied charitable activities. With this brief introduction, I present before you CA A. Shankar sir. We have eminent speaker CA V. Raghuraman. He is a triple qualified CA, CWA, CS, rank holder throughout of his career, authored and co-authored various books. He has addressed national and international seminars at various forums, presented papers there. With this brief introduction, I present before you CA V. Raghuraman sir. CA Chythanya KK sir is a BCom, FCA and LLB. He is also a rank holder from PUC to till inter CA final. He is having a practice more than 14 years as a CA, more than 17 years of practice as an advocate, and advocate in various courts, high courts and Supreme Court matters. Lectured at various forums, including IIM, and presented papers in national, international conferences at various forums. He's authored and co-authored many books on subjects. With this brief introduction, I present before CA Chythanya KK sir. We have with us Sanjay M. Dariwal, moderator of this program. Sir is practicing from since 1993. He is also presented and renowned moderator for various conferences, presented papers, and is holding a directorship in various companies. With this brief introduction, I present before you CA Sanjay M. Dariwal sir. Once again, I welcome you all, and I request dignitaries on the dais to inaugurate this session with lighting the lamp.
य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं कामं पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुद्धं तदेवामृतमुच्यते अस्मिन् लोकः अस्मिन् शितः सर्वे तदूनात्यकश्च एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता
I also welcome print and media members for this program. On this occasion of joy, celebrating that our professional members designated as senior counsels of the Bar Council of High Court, we want to know more about them through their companions, friends. How was the journey? To speak about this, I request CA K. Raghu sir to speak for few minutes about his experience with them. Over to you, sir.
Chairman of the Bangalore branch of the Southern India Regional Council of the Institute, Mr. Shetty, Secretary, Mr. Srinivas, distinguished senior advocates present here, Shankar, A. Shankar, CA Ravishankar, CA Raghuraman, CA Chythanya. I think we're all extremely fortunate to have all of them amongst us. And very shortly, we are given to understand that CSS Naganand also would be joining us. It's a matter of joy for the profession that 5 of our members of our profession, have been designated as senior advocates by the High Court of Karnataka. This shows the trust the High Court has on the performance of all our good friends. I think it is just by virtue of their ability, standing in the bar, and special knowledge of the subject that all our good friends have been designated as special advocate, senior advocates. And when I was going through the website of the Karnataka High Court, I was very happy to know the process that has been followed for selecting them. We are very proud of all the members present here on this happy occasion. And the moment I came to know, I had a chat with the chairman, requested him that we should have a program to felicitate all of our members. I'm very happy that the chairman has accepted my request. Thank you, chairman. Friends, some of the qualities that are required for a person to be designated as a senior advocate is, credibility. That is what the website of the High Court says. I think all of us are aware of the credibility of our 5 members of our profession. They're extremely hardworking, and their experience in the profession speaks volumes about their contribution, not only to the profession, to the society at large. I think the kind of confidence the High Court has reposed on them, I'm sure they would live up to the expectations of the High Court and the society at large, and we wish them good luck on this happy occasion. Friends, I would remember all our friends sitting here. Mr. Naganand, of course, is not here. He was a favorite, teacher those days, 87 to 90. Myself, Chaitanya, all of us used to attend the coaching classes in the institute at near Minerva Theatre. Naganand used to handle corporate laws for us. And we still remember how popular he was and the kind of, what you could say, the knowledge, subject knowledge was so good that all of us used to listen to him with rapt attention. He's also, represented the institute on various occasions. And of course, he comes from a family of advocates, and we are very proud that he was nominated as a senior advocate a few years back. Shankar, all of us know very well, a very simple person. Whenever we meet him, we feel very comfortable because of his down-to-earth approach. And whenever I have seen Shankar in his office, he always gives you a very comfortable feeling. And whenever you visit his office, I think you should see the way he has organized all the records of the client. One day when I had the opportunity of meeting all of them at their offices due to our, when we go for an election campaign, we meet all of them. He took me to one of his floors and showed me how he has organized the files of records of each of his clients. Every client will have so much of records, and very systematically is organized. And he said, Raghu, this is my client, and all the records have been so well stacked. And I would compliment Shankar for the way in which he's conducting himself as a professional, as an advocate. I'm sure his contribution would be immensely recognized by the entire fraternity. Coming to Ravishankar, K.S. Ravishankar, extremely popular speaker, both not only at Bangalore. Those days, Mr. Ravishankar's, talk on Foreign Exchange Regulation Act used to be a big success. People used to regularly attend all his programs. I've traveled with him with various branches of the southern region, and the kind of popularity what he enjoys is something which we should all feel proud of. In fact, when I was a student, 87 to 90, he used to conduct quiz sessions for all the CA students, and he used to be very popular among the students. Very lovable person, and all of us loved him for his knowledge of the subject. All of us have listened to him in various seminars. His deep insights into the subject is what makes Ravishankar extremely special for all of us. Sir, we are very, very happy that you have been designated as a senior advocate. And coming to Raghuraman, there's so much to talk about Raghuraman. Raghuraman has been my classmate in St. Joseph's College of Commerce. We studied BCom together, 1982 to 87. I think amongst the four gentlemen present here, Raghuraman is known to me for a very long time. And Raghuraman, as Srinivas said, he has been a rank holder right throughout in BCom and PUC. Used to top the class. I used to be second, always second, and Raghuraman used to be first. He got the university rank, BCom. I missed the university rank by 1 mark. So our journey has been extremely good. We used to attend the classes of Mr. Padam Kincha, who used to teach us taxation. And I still remember Padam Kincha was so popular in our college. He used to give us a free hand. He used to tell us, whoever wants to take an off from the classes, you are free, I'll give you attendance. And many of us used to walk out, including me. It was only Raghuraman who used to attend his classes promptly and regularly. And that shows commitment of Mr. Raghuraman to acquire knowledge. And that is the reason why we have, seeing him here. I'm so happy that my good friend, who is extremely popular, not only in Bangalore, across the country, has achieved this rare distinction. And I'm sure he'll do a great job. And we look forward for a great innings. Finally, Chythanya. Chythanya, the first time I met him was, again, we were all batchmates, myself, Raghu, Chythanya. We all qualified together, 1990. I was attending the classes, coming out of a maths class, and one of my friends nudged me and asked me, do you know this guy on the Luna? That is, Chythanya was on his Luna. Then I said, no, I don't know him. I think you should meet him. He's a first rank holder from Mysore University. And I had a great passion to talk to people who have been successful, who have, he's got a rank in first in Mysore University, thought why not meet him? And I introduced myself and I said, I'm Raghu. I am a student. I came to know that you got the first time. I'm really happy to know you. And that's how our relationship began with Chaitanya from our CA days. And all of you know the kind of commitment what Chaitanya has. Every year, he analyzes the budget clause by clause. I think he's done it for almost 20 years now. And his contribution is immense to the profession. I think, friends, a very joyful occasion for all of us, an occasion for all of us to feel proud because 5 members of our profession from Bangalore being designated as senior advocates is not a small achievement. It's a great achievement. And I'm sure we will see a lot more activity from them, more laurels to the profession, and we will all wish them good luck on this happy occasion. And we can only assure them that, yes, we're all happy to be one amongst them. We know them so well. We have seen them, we have traveled with them, we have listened to them, and we're very happy on this happy occasion that they have been designated as senior advocates. Thank you, Chairman, for having given me an opportunity to felicitate our dear friends. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and giving insights about your friends. I request our past chairman CA Anil sir to speak for 2 minutes.
Good evening, friends. I mean, definitely, it is a great, what should I say, honor to have 5 members of a profession also distinguish themselves as advocates and be designated as senior advocates. All are good friends, all are peers, and yes, just came to sit here and just enjoy seeing their success with a small, what should I say, what are best wishes? I will close. I think I like all of you. I'm waiting for what should I say, to hear them speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CA Vishnu Bharat sir to speak for.
A very good evening, friends. I feel proud myself for only reason that I know all the 5 of them. It is an invaluable asset. So it's a concealed asset which you can encash it. Just because I know them, so I mean, because I was the chairman of Southern India Regional Council, the members approach them and get the services through me. So Mr. Shankar is aware of it. So nook and corner the cases comes and we are Hogobar of friends. But he talks to me like that, but I feel delicate to talk to him being a senior counsel. Yes, they will bring the glory to our profession. They are the people who are in the limelight. In fact, I was also the chairman of Harvey Institute of Legal Studies. Even today I was with one High Court Justice. So telling them about these 5 people, so he was telling me, oh, I see all of them like that. So they have already, have proved themselves. And that's what I wanted to tell you. They bring definitely glory to our profession. And the chartered accountant will be seen in the legal fraternity at a higher level. I wish them all the best. And thank you for the opportunity, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CA Padamchand Kincha sir to speak.
I was only wondering that they will not call me. For the reason, simple reason, that my respect at the heart, my regard for them at the heart, is not going to be justified by the words I'm going to talk about. The lip is going to be far short of the feelings of the heart. Therefore, I said, let the feeling be with my heart and not have an occasion to express them publicly, where you're going to fall short of the real sentiment that you really have in your heart concern. Raghu was mentioning that Chaitanya and Raghuraman are his batchmates. Similarly, for me, Shankar and Ravishankar are batchmates. I'll talk about Shankar first because in terms of seniority as senior advocate, he comes first, and then I'll talk about Ravishankar. Institute of Engineers, 1982, Students' Conference. Shankar is a speaker there. I am also a speaker. Now I'm very worried. I have a lot of stage fear, nervousness. And as a man here who's able to recite Shakespeare, who's able to recite Bernard Shaw, and first time I saw him, really awed by the immense knowledge he had about the subject per se, his ability to stand and express himself, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, reading Shakespeare every day, even now, reading Bernard Shaw every day, even now. So what gets into you is not just the subject of the core of tax or core of civil law or criminal law. Gets into a broader spectrum of the entire knowledge that comes into you very naturally. So his ability to talk, he can even now reel out Shakespeare pages by pages. We have had occasions to be with him, ask him, hey, this is an interesting subject always, to tell him, hey, kindly reel out something of Shakespeare. And if he has replied now, sure, he'll quote some things from Shakespeare or something from Bernard Shaw. And then he'll reveal, that's the time he will reveal out his depth that he carries with him in terms of his knowledge that is acquired over a period of time. So 82 onwards, consistently now what he's doing, he goes to office at 6 o'clock in the morning. Same thing with Ravishankar, 6 o'clock you're in the office in the morning. That is tapas. That is tapas. If they have become senior advocates today, that's because of a tapas they have consistently over a period of time devoted themselves to quality. Shankar 82. Ravishankar 22nd May 1969. 68. So in a life of 63 years, we are known for 54 years now. Same class, 5th standard we joined together. 5th standard we joined together. We have been together right from school through college together. Now, then thereafter, profession where? I am on Avenue Road, he is on CT Street. Did his articles under Rangratnam, one of the doyens in terms of knowledge, in terms of discipline, in terms of professional excellence. Imbibe that, improved upon it. You don't find a better professional today in terms of his conduct, in terms of his way he executes his job, the way he behaves, the way he performs his duties. Remarkable. You sit with him for a little while, because we have had occasions from 68 onwards of recent times, because he goes to office 6 o'clock, ends up late in the night. What does he do? Reading. His reading is phenomenal. Beyond his academic is phenomenal. You ask him, what do you mean by table? He will tell you the source of the word table, which is the Sanskrit word, which is the French word. It's just phenomenal. You can ask him on anything. You can ask him on the jail in Andamans. He will tell you a good story about it. You ask him anything on philosophy, on religion, on science. He's able to talk authoritatively on it. And you have seen him having this day on and day out. So it's been a wonderful way to be with him. I'm very fortunate to have friends like him who are the standards of performance, who are the standards. I don't bother about anybody else telling anything about me. If my friends were to respect me, that is the greatest achievement for me. That's the way it is. That's the standard they have built up. Mohandas Pai, Ravishankar. They built up the standards concerned. And for me, their respect is far more valuable than anybody else saying anything about.
Wonderful achievement. Looking forward to many more years with him. I'll talk about Raghuraman first and then Chythanya for some particular reason again. No. Both of them together. Both are together. I've had a longer association Chythanya in terms of professional activities. In Raghuraman, now again a very evolved person. What we and I can do the whole day, 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. Believe me, he finishes that in 1 hour, 1.25 hours. His ability to read, absorb is phenomenal because he's an evolved soul. He's evolved. You have to be with him to understand how and why he is an evolved soul. Not just profession here, beyond profession, into the spirituality, into religion, into knowing everything else is phenomenal. And that has got into him in terms of having that attribute, to use that attribute in terms of your professional excellence also. As Raghu was mentioning, yeah, he was there, accidental history that I was there as a teacher for them in St. Joseph's College of Commerce, teaching the mercantile law. Historical accident. They will therefore tell me that you are my teacher. That's only a statement. They have gone far ahead of us in terms of professional excellence. And we feel proud about it that they, going forward, and by that dint of hard work and by dint of achievements, they bring us also credit, and therefore wonderful to be with him. Remarkable person to be associated, always joyous, always bubbling with good sentiments. Wonderful to be with Raghuraman. Chythanya completed the CA quiz competition he was mentioning. So Chythanya and Vishnumurthy were the first winners there. Therefore, we had an occasion what to do on that matter. I told him start teaching. So I got compelled by Mohandas Pai to start teaching. I had to take my revenge and told Chythanya start teaching. Began as a teacher. Then do what now? Rightly or wrong, I don't know. This is again a God's destiny. Rightly or wrongly, we began associating ourselves in terms of academic discussions. So we've been meeting for the last 20 years now. Every week we meet. Minimum once, if not twice or thrice. Have academic discussions. So I know him personally. I know him because when I discuss with him, and I'm not sure that you'll agree or not agree, his depth of knowledge is phenomenal. The ability of this person to get into law is like a fish to a water. He can read any subject, any law. He's never perturbed. He is never put off guard. He's very able to catch the essence of law, whatever be the complications. And therefore, that's the benefit I've received from him for the last 20 years or plus. Then we said, okay, I had to take advantage of him also. What do I do therefore? I tell him, we'll write books. Because we write books, but he does the major part of the work concerned. The entire technical knowledge, the technical inputs, he only writes his outline. He therefore gives solutions. He gives the depth of the knowledge concerned. I join the author as a co-author and get credit for all the books that have happened over a period of time. Phenomenal. I'm not joking. The discussions we've had and the clause by clause discussion last 20 years now with SRS and him, the amount of knowledge that these people have and they exhibit, and Chythanya in particular, is beyond expression, in my opinion, beyond expression. And I'm the beneficiary of that knowledge even today. It goes on. And that's the joy to look forward to every day to say, oh, when are we meeting tomorrow? Next week, when are we meeting? We decided in advance. This is the day we are meeting next week. And the ability to get that from them is phenomenal. And that's the way I've enjoyed with him. His company has been excellent, bar excellence. This Pancharatna, I will also include Naganand. He was my senior in college. Oh, person whom we have to still know to say that a senior in college, wonderful achievements. By 2 years, senior in college. He was senior to us in college. We have known him from there. And phenomenal achievements. I known from him about Naganand also through a classmate of mine, Sudesh Pai, who was there working in their office. And therefore, know from him the stories about both Naganand and his father having wonderful exhibitions in the court concern. So these Pancharatnas, today they are here. Their combined intelligence, believe me, is next to none in the country. They join together. If they were to join together, excellent Navratnas, each one is an excellent in his own way, a gem in his own way, and the combined intelligence, believe me, is next to anybody, nothing. Nobody can beat them in the combined intelligence. Standalone, yes. Combined, why I'm saying this combined because they're all from our profession, our fraternity, and we have contributed this in advocacy to the country concerned. And when they join together, wherever they are talking about, where they are doing about, on a combined basis, their impact is far beyond anybody else can imagine. So all the best to all of them for taking this forward, getting some more laurels to all of us also, not for themselves, to all of us also, because we can tell them proudly that we know them very well, they are our friends. Thank you all the very best to all of you.
Thank you, sir, giving us such an insights and knowing us what is the secret of their success. It's nothing but hard work. It's a truly a Gnana Sangama because among with the Pancharatnas we have a Gnana Ratnas also. It's a truly a Gnana Sangama. Now I request Nagaraj Gupta sir to speak.
Beloved Chairman and distinguished members on the dais, of the dais, and Mr. Raghu, President, Past President of our institute, and fellow friends and Padam sir and Vishnu Bharat, my other co-chairman Anil, etc. See, the thing is, from I have always been, thinking one thing: if a person has born into this society, definitely the birth itself will make them to realize one important factor in life, that with whom all that person will come into contact in the life, that sets that person to go through their fortunes. And this is in that kind of a situation when a person who can give and provide the fortunes to such thousands and lakhs of numbers of people, maybe CAs, students, members in the society, and any litigant or anybody. And if these best among our profession, normally the best is always referred to one, theoretically. But we have these 5 best professionals, and it is overwhelming. The joy is overwhelming. Why I'm telling is, I passed out in 1985. 1986, I became the, went into the activities of this branch till 94. Tremendous amount of joy, pleasure, working with people, getting to know the people, uh, people like Mohandas Pai and all these people, Naganand sir. It's great that Naganand sir could, listen to 1 or 2 minutes of my talk before you. I feel it is rather my fortune has been doubled. Naganand sir, Mohandas Pai sir, and in that time Raghavan sir, these are all the people who are the completely backbones for our institute activities. There means, things were going on, like flurry of activities, students coming, going, and this particular building. And I was really a fortune person that I was the first full year chairman of this new building. So see, those times we had a lot of update series, like activities, and all of them, whomever now we are seeing on the dais, they were all of them, all the days, all the 365 days, whenever, as a chairman, when I called them, they said, yeah, we are with you. Because I remember, it is necessary to tell, maybe out of the temptation I am telling, we have released 50 Saturdays update series of 4 hours each, which went on till end of the year. Ravishankar sir knows. And I had a meeting with Ravishankar sir, Naganand sir, Mohandas Pai sir, Raghavan sir, Padam sir, 6 people within 1 week of my assuming the branch as a chairman. I requested them to come to one platform. We made 4 modules, and each module 1 Saturday, 4 Saturdays in a month, and for 50 days, I announced the program, collecting from 400 CAs the membership fee, that is the delegate fee, and we started up the program. All these people now, Shankar sir and Chythanya and Raghuraman, nothing less to tell, nothing more to tell for them. So they are always here. They are always here. They are always for the students. They are always for the members. It's so astonishing that is it the kind of profession that is a profession only we can see this kind of intimacy and fraternity and friendship with all the people. So I'm really maybe I'm taking the opportunity to express my this thing. My idea behind telling all this is that those members who bloomed, according to me, maybe I'm corrected, from 1985 to 1995, those who came into specialized fields, they have bloomed like anything. And after that 1995, I do not see much of the people, new entrants, and joining them as a successor or anything. For me, I don't have the data, but what I feel is this. So these are the members. These were the pillars of our institute at that time also, and now also. I really heartily tell them one life is not enough to express the gratitude as a member of this institute. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request KCA President Chandan Hegde to speak.
Good evening, my professional colleagues. Thank you, Chairman, for giving us an opportunity to felicitate this 5 jewels, Pancharatnas, to Karnataka State Chartered Accountant Association. I won't take much time. On behalf of Karnataka State Chartered Accountant Association, I wish all of you a great success and a fruitful term ahead. So we want to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chandan Hegde. I request CAGS Prasant to speak a few words.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Bangalore branch, for giving this opportunity. It is not on my behalf that I'm talking. I take the stage on behalf of all the juniors and students who have been mentored by the seniors in the profession. We have learned our subject of taxation at their feet. Thank you, sir. I've been fortunate very early in my career to be trained by Mr. Venkatramani, Mr. Devraj, and last but not the least, Shankar, sir, for the last 12 years on a daily basis. And as Padam sir said, 6 o'clock is not the time. We have also met him at 5:30 a.m., taken dictations, and shown the draft back after the second round of walking at 7 a.m. So timing is one thing that you can never compromise with Shankar, sir. And with Chythanya, sir, my experience has been that I've been very fortunate that both Padam, sir, Chythanya, sir, and SRS, sir, have made me a part as a listener to their budget discussions for the last 5 years. The only feeling I take back every time is guilt, saying that I do not know anything. Where do I even get the time to read and understand so much? But believe me, that 5 years of budget reading with them has probably given me 20 years of learning. And it's not my word, but probably I can take all juniors here. My good friend Narendra Jain would supplement me on that. The amount of hard work that goes into our seniors reading and the effort that we have to put in, even to think for a moment that will us be even appreciated to say, okay, good, you found this? No, because if you're able to deal out a case law saying 26 ITR, they will say, no, you should look at the Privy Council in 3 ITR, which probably was the foundation. So we are never able to even move ahead on that. So considering that there are reservoirs of knowledge, and one occasion which when I met Ravishankar, I don't know whether he'll remember, it was 2011 after the KSCAA conference when Ravishankar sir and Shankar sir were the speakers. He took us to his office. He showed the books around and said, if at all you want to even reach something in life, just even open these books once. the quantum of books there and the encyclopedia itself probably would instill fear, but that probably gave us insight to say when to start reading and never to stop it. So therefore, probably I'm not able to express properly, because one thing is to talk in front of this jewels of the profession, and I would again repeat that we have learned income tax at their feet so that we always remain grateful to them. We are indebted to our parents for life. We are indebted to our guru for the way we live. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Prashant sir, and I thank all the senior members giving such a wonderful juniors to our profession as a contribution. Thank you. We are all curious to listen from you the journey to reach that milestone, creating that benchmark. What are the hurdles you have faced? How you have overcome that? But before that, we thought of felicitating, and we want to listen from you. And I welcome Naganand sir, is joined us. I just give a brief introduction of Naganand sir. He has designated as senior counsel during 2003, and he knows 2001. Okay, no mentioned yet. Okay, sir. And he has passed LLB and CA in the same year, and is currently Vice President of the Bar Association of India and various other associations. Is a linguistic who is fluent in 9 languages, and he authored many books. Key among them is commentary on Adi Shankaracharya's Prashnottaram Ratnamalika, which was released in October 2017 at Bangalore during the Saundarya Lahari Maha Samarpana graced by Prime Minister. I wrote English commentary on concise version entitled by Viveka Deepini, and so many other books. With this brief introduction, and he is a faculty member and presented papers in various national and international forums. Oh, nice, sir. Thanks. With this brief introduction, I present before you CASS Naganand sir. Welcome you, sir. Now it's our honor to felicitate our members. I request Naganand sir. I request CAK Raghu sir, Chandan Hegde and senior members to join for felicitation. Thank you. Thank you, members, for joining, felicitating our beloved Gnana Ratnas. Now it's time to listen to our Gnana Ratnas. To take forward this, I request CA Sanjay. Before Sanjay Dariwal's panel discussion, I request sirs to speak for 2 minutes. I request CA Naganand sir to speak for 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow felicities and my illustrious brethren in the profession of chartered accountancy. I love to say that whenever I come to institute, I always feel that my other profession, the professional brethren there have no match for the chartered accountants. And I'm not saying this only this time, every time I've said it. That's because the training of the chartered accountants are different. Their orientation is different. Their hard work is different. Their updation of knowledge is different. And unfortunately, that is lacking in the legal profession, except for the creamy layer of the profession, where they are super competent. Other than that, the rest of it is a disaster, if I can say so. It's very thoughtful of you to have felicitated me, but I have just some recollections about the early days of the institute. You know, I started teaching final year company law in that crash course that was being done. And I still remember my father used to tell me, "Yen ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ತನಕ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ರಾತ್ರಿ 6 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ 9 ಗಂಟೆ ತನಕ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತೀಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಏನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?" And it was a small ramshackle building in JC Road, just behind that parking lot. I know many of you might remember it or many may not remember it. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗು ಜಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಕೂಟರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ಸ್ಕೂಟರ್ ಬಿಡಕ್ಕೂ ಜಾಗ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನೋ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು I used to come. And I remember many of the students who used to come, and they liked the class because I used to make it very interesting with a lot of episodes. If you take up a case law, I would explain, facts of that case as though it is happening in front of them. And I took them section by section, and that continued for several years. I think I taught for 7 or 8 years. Then afterwards, profession caught up. I didn't continue. Legal profession is a completely different ball game. You're more, you become a more, what shall I say, a person who has to tackle another human being, which is not there with the chartered accountancy profession. Because in the legal profession, every judge before whom you appear is different. And appearing regularly, we know, some days, of course, thanks to now video and other things, I'm in Supreme Court in the morning, then I go to Kalburgi, then I go to Dharwad, then I'm in NCLT, then I come to High Court, then I go to Commercial Court. All this happens in one day. And before different judges. And you know who the judges are, what their mindset is, what they expect. The skill of a lawyer is very much different from the skill of a chartered accountant. So I think illustrious people on the dais today who have all been felicitated, I think all of them are in tax. I started initially with some tax work only. But slowly what happened was I sort of meandering away because our office, my father's chamber had a vast variety of work. And I started, doing a lot of indirect tax work, sales tax. Of course, now it's all gone completely. The tax practice itself is practically, changed entirely, the pattern of it. But then I got into a lot of constitutional litigation. And that sort of, kept me going with new fields. And many days I would be going to magistrates court for economic offences, prosecution under Companies Act or central excise. I remember Mr. Ravishankar's late senior Chandar Kumar. He was a regular person in economic offences court. We were meeting very regularly there before Ravi joined the profession. And then I would probably go to the administrative tribunal for something. Then Karnataka appellate tribunal for sales tax appeals used to come there. And there were special courts in the sessions court also dealing with appeals from these orders. I would be going there. Then I would go to Central Avenue building to do appeals under the Central Excise Act sometimes. Occasionally income tax appeals. Then IT, it was an old building which was about to collapse on Cunningham Road. I still remember. There was a huge lawn in that place and, you could park your car anywhere. There was no problem. I'm saying that everything has changed, So the legal profession, the change that brings about in your thing is how you're going to tackle people. What is it you're going to present to them? And of course, you have to be competent. If you have to succeed, You have to be competent. The knowledge has to be at your fingertips, and you should know how to present it, what to present. So I think the designation as a senior advocate by the High Court, of course, in recent times it's become somewhat controversial, but usually counsel who have earned a good name, excellent reputation, personal character, competence in the subject, how they deal with the various cases that they handle, all that is assessed. And only then they designate. Of course, there are always aberrations. In every system there are aberrations. We always have some people who we may think don't deserve, but present company, no one is in that category. And I think, all of them who have been designated recently are excellent choices, and they will bring credit to the CA profession. That's what I think. And that's what is ultimately important. Your name as a professional of high competence, of good integrity, that I'm sure all of us will strive to uphold. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CA Shankar sir to speak.
Good evening. At the very outset, I wish to place on record my gratitude, respects to my mentor, Suresh Venkatation, who has been a pillar, philosopher, guide in my growth in the journey in the field of taxation. My respects to him, sir. Though he's not alive today, I still owe a lot to him. I stand before you today on his guidance and the mentoring which he has done to me. And set you down and says, besides, Padam said I should not speak without something about poetry. One of the finest poetries, which probably will be very apt at this point of time, is a small passage from Julius Caesar. Not the popular one, which Mark Antony, which all of you all will know, but Brutus. 4 lines he said beautifully, I speak not disprove what others speak, but here am I to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. I loved all of them, not without cause. What cause withholds you to give a standing ovation to them? Gentlemen, let's give them all a standing ovation. One more. Oh, one more. Okay. It's a very interesting passage from Wordsworth on a poem called Solitary Reaper. Leave the initial things and come to one of the important things. Will someone tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. Of old unhappy, far off things are battles long ago. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today, some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and may be again? Profession which we are in gives us sorrow, happiness, peace, pleasure, sadness, sorrow, coupled, intermingled, interwoven to make a beautiful phenomenon of what profession of legal we face. I've been in the profession of law for approximately a period of 2 decades, and I practiced accountancy for about 17 years before I got into it in a very accidental way, not by great choice, but by chance. My mentor Venkatation was one day having a meeting. Thank you. Having a meeting in the office generally, and we were actually briefing K.R. Prasad sir and Sarangan sir for all our tax work from our office. And both of them were getting aged, and then we had to go and meet Parsarthi sir and Kulkarni to brief them. He said, one of you all should put up your hands and then join the profession. But one very important condition, no riding 2 horses, no simply giving the practice in somebody's name and practicing. Full-time concentration on the legal profession will ultimately take to glory. And that day, the 2nd of December 2002, I took a decision that was my birthday. And on 12th, thanks to my friend Vishnu Bharat, who helped me to get, maybe you would have forgotten, who helped me to get me my cancellation of CA within a period of 5 days. So that the bar council said, without that cancellation certificate, I won't enroll you. So in fact, I had to take the help of him to make sure that the South India Regional Council does the job in a very quick and a fast manner. And then I was enrolled on the 12th of December, 2012 as an advocate. The journey in the field of high court practice has been wonderful, great experience. You have to think on your legs. You have very little time. And it requires a very clear thought process of 3 C's. We need to have commitment to our work. We have to have clarity in our thought. And of course, above all, we have to have consciousness in our actions. Unlike practice before other appellate authorities, there's no second innings. Most of the times, 95% of the times, the orders are dictated after the hearings are over. It is not that you can improve upon it. If possible, in other fields, we are entitled to file a written submission. Here, most of the times, the orders are dictated. If you have missed a bus, you have missed a bus for good. I want to only say one very interesting anecdote I had in my experience out of the several. Justice Ravindran, who then went to Supreme Court, a very judge who encouraged me a lot. One day I was arguing before him. He was very bored at 4:15. He said, it's very boring. Something interesting must happen. I said, those days court ended at 4:30. And he was one of those sticklers who never used to get up before 4:30. I told him, he said, say something, Mr. Shankar. Sir, I have never lost a case before you. What do you mean by that? Yesterday I dictated an order against you and you are telling that. Think properly, sir. What is it? I never lost, sir. What do you mean by that? Sir, I represent a litigant. If I win a case, I won the case. My friend Sheshachala represents the country. If he wins a case, I am part of the country, I win the case. So I am never in the losing side. Okay, this is precisely what I told him. He all had a good laugh and said, and he was one of the most amazing judges with a lot of presence of mind. Then, of course, Justice N. Kumar, whom I, as a professional, cannot forget in any forum which I address in the legal field, has given extraordinary encouragement to all of us, the entire tax bar of Raghuraman, Chythanya will owe a lot to him for the extraordinary amount of encouragement he gave us. In lighter vein, when Shetty called me and said that we want to felicitate you, I said, marriage is over 3 years back. 2 children are there, you are conducting reception. What is the purpose? Then he said, no, sir, you must come. Then I requested him, see, only 4 are there. 4 is not a very apt word, which I don't want to use here. In private, I will tell you all what 4 means. I said the 5 must be added, and that's my dear, can't call him a friend, more a senior to me, Mr. Naganand, so that the 4 will become Pancharatna, and he readily agreed to it. My special thanks to you, Chairman, for that. And Naganand also readily agreed. Lawyers have a bad habit. If you give the mic, they will go on and on. But I don't intend to, except recalling the very apt words of Sir Winston Churchill, who said, the mind starts functioning when a child is born and stops when it faces an audience, more so an enlightened audience like you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for a patient care.
Thank you, Shankar sir. Now I request Sri Ravishankar sir to speak.
Our institute is
like the mother, and the bar council is like the father, as Mr. Naganand also would definitely agree with us on this. But for the institute, I think I would be sitting in some railway as a booking clerk or in some bank as whatever. But something would prompt me to come out with a few important milestones that changed my career for good. One was during the year 1982-83 when I qualified. I had the advantage of getting into the chamber of a very senior lawyer who is no more, unfortunately, Mr. Chandra Kumar, who was a prosecution lawyer for the income tax department for almost, I think, 3 decades. He was the prosecution lawyer. He thought that I'll assist him in income tax related work because I was a chartered accountant. But to his dismay and to my advantage, I started picking up a lot of cases relating to foreign exchange law and the then Gold Control Act, and started appearing before the Gold Control Administrator, as we would call him. The act is abolished. And I would do a lot of work relating to customs and some drafting work relating to preventive detention laws, the Coffee Posa Act, which is almost dead now. That's what spurred me to take up law as a sort of a serious career later in life. For 16 years, I meandered, teaching, juggling too many balls. And in 98, 99, I enrolled. But I had no transition problem because I was doing nothing except appearances in matters connected to indirect taxes before various forums, and I had the benefit of many good friends assisting me also, including Raghuraman, who used to assist me a lot for many years. But there is one important thing I would like to point out. Bangalore probably has the highest number of chartered accountants who have become lawyers. It must be somewhere in the vicinity of 17 or 18 now. I may be wrong, it may be higher. To me, the first instance that I came across, Mr. Naganand being senior to us, in college he was 2 years senior to us, as Padam mentioned. He would be at liberty to correct me. The first person whose name I saw as an advocate, but a qualified chartered accountant, was Mr. Sukumar Bhattacharya, whose commentary on income tax, not commentary, it was a textbook on income tax, was prescribed by the institute for our examinations. He was a BCom, LLB, FCA, and a retired income tax officer of those days. He was an advocate to the Calcutta High Court. So that was one of the first, that was a name which used to sort of provoke us or incite us to adventure into this. And then we had Mr. Nirmal Kumar Padar, Mr. N.K. Padar, who was a Central Council member. Yet another example was Mr. Padar's example. He was a brilliant speaker. Very brilliant speaker. He has come to Bangalore a number of times. Then later on, I started noticing many people switching, including Mr. Salve, who is now a Queen's lawyer, a Queen's Counsel in London. And he was fast-tracked to the Queen's Counsel's designation within a span of a year. Just within a year of becoming a foreign transferred barrister in the Inner Temple. He joined the Inner Temple, if I'm not wrong. Because in London, you have the Greys and the Lincolns in the Inner Temple, the Middle Temple. He joined the Inner Temple. And within 1 year, he was fast-tracked to become a Queen's Counsel, that is senior advocate there. Then Mr. Ganesh in Delhi, S. Ganesh. Then here, Mr. Naganand. In Bangalore, I think he set the trend. And then we had a brilliant, and we still have him, Dr. R.B. Krishna. I think most of you will be knowing him. He just didn't bother about seniority. He is perhaps the most highly qualified chartered accountant lawyer whom I have come across in my life. Dr. Krishna, who has an accounting qualification from India, a cost accounting qualification, a master's in commerce, a master's in law, a PhD, and also a CPA from Texas. And he was a member of the Income Tax Tribunal. Dr. Krishna used to teach us at the St. Joseph Indian High School classes. We used to attend his classes on estate duty and companies' profit surtax particularly, and find them very interesting. And we had Mr. J.J. Madan who used to teach us at the institute, Mr. Jamshed Jahangir Madan, who was Dr. R.C. Cooper's direct apprentice, and who used to always talk about amalgamation and reconstruction and a particular problem which used to appear in Shukla and Grewal's text. He knew the problem by memory. Abrasives Limited. It used to start, Abrasives Limited. And he would say Abrasives Limited. And he would dictate the problem by memory in the class. So I'm talking of 1981 when we used to attend his classes. In Bombay, we have a few chartered accountant lawyers. Mr. Sridharan is there, who practices indirect tax as senior counsel of Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. He is my batch, 93 qualified chartered accountant. We have Mr. Percy Pardiwala. You have Mr. Arvind Sode, who's I think probably Mr. Naganand's contemporary, who's also a senior advocate in the Bombay High Court, is a chartered accountant. Then we have Mr. Saurabh Soparkar, who has come here from Ahmedabad. I think some of you would have met him. He's one of the most brilliant lawyers, chartered accountant lawyers in Ahmedabad. We have excellent chartered accountants across the country who have been practicing law of late. And here in my office, I have had the privilege of having 9 chartered accountants who became lawyers. And probably something wild that I should be proposed by Mr. Naganand to the High Court to become a senior advocate. And he proposed my name with Mr. K.P. Kumar, and that proposal somehow has resulted in what we are seeing today. So my designation is because of the joint efforts of Mr. Naganand and Mr. K.P. Kumar. I personally thank both of them, and I've spoken to them over the phone, but I haven't had the occasion to see them after the notification was issued. And this is a great occasion when I've been able to at least meet them and also meet my colleagues and my students, Mr. Raghuraman and Mr. Chythanya, who are extraordinary. Extraordinary. I was just telling someone when we were down that Mr. K. Raghu, who was also their batchmate, Mr. Raghuraman, who was professionally connected with me and is still connected with me for a number of years, and Chaiti, who was my student. They're extraordinary people, very good human beings, and extremely generous when it comes to helping you when you need their help. And my classmates here in the school, Padambai, Anil, not to forget Anil, because we used to go to the same school, all of us sat in the same class, all of us qualified together, and one is absent here. He would be probably on some television, Mohan Pai. And we had a very distinguished dean who is now with the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, Dr. Jayant Rama Verma, who was with us in school. So we had extraordinary people in school and college, like Mr. Naganand was one of the most brilliant students in the college. He was one of the most brilliant debaters also in the college. So we have always had extremely nice people to deal with, and peer support has been very good. And this institute has given us the sort of a boost And whatever we are, we owe it to the institute. We owe it to the, I won't say the motto or the emblem, it the mantra of the institute. Yayesh Supteshu Jagati Kamam Kamam, the Kathopanishad, Nachiketa and Yama's dialogue where this comes as the canto number 24. I think Raghu may correct me because it has a Udatta, Anudatta and the Swarita. Of course, this is the different type of it's more like a song what we hear, but it has the Udatta, Anudatta and the Swarita, like trigonometry. So, and I can't forget some of, I'm sorry, I take a minute or two. I can't forget people like Mr. Vishnu Bharat, Mr. Nagaraj Gupta. He would personally clean, Mr. Nagaraj Gupta, I've seen him personally clean this auditorium, believe me. I've seen him wipe every desk before the delegates come in on Saturdays because I used to come a bit early and I used to keep my books. I've seen him wipe the desks and clean. If there's something not kept tidy, he would go and take a broom and then sweep it also. I've seen him doing that. I've never come across people of that humility. And Mr. Maya, Mr. P. and Maya, my friend Anil, they have dedicated their entire, and Mr. Venkat Krishna, not to forget him. Yeah, of course, why not? Late Mr. Krishna Swami, the Pitamaha, to all of us. They have been extraordinary people who used to motivate us in every sphere of professional activity. So I owe everything to this institute, not to forget the support that has been given to all of us and also the encouragement that has been given to all of us. And with these few words, I thank all of you for having come today to attend this function and see us and hear all of us. It seems a bit tedious and odious, but I'm sorry about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CA Raghuraman sir to speak.
I thank the Bangalore branch for this program, which felicitates us and puts us along with the illustrious seniors who are on this dais. Several errors which were made by professionals have brought me here. First error, I was not interested in law at all. I had the occasion to listen to Mr. Padam Kincha in mercantile law. And he simply turned us around. His teaching was so fabulous. The first time we realized, oh, there's so much in law. We never knew. We have never seen law being taught in that manner. I am telling you. In fact, I told the branch chairman, please call Mr. Padam Kincha, because he committed that error. Then I passed out. Second error was Mr. Ravishankar. He took me under his tutelage and taught me central excise and customs. Therefrom, I progressed on my own, which led me to the third error where Mr. Chythanya joined me as partner. And you see, the fun of it is, it may be mutual. Everything that has happened together for us. After partnership, enrolled on the same day. We went to the same place to City Civil Court to get our coat and gown. And every car and every laptop has been purchased jointly. Before we purchase anything, we'll coordinate with each other. And designation also on the same day. Then Mr. Shankar, who was, is, will ever be the leader of the tax bar. He has such a large heart, which allows him to commit such errors. He encourages all of us, and it's a pleasure to see him argue, because the most complicated income tax provisions will be made to look very simple. And I don't know how he does it. Even after attending the court for so many years, have not been able to catch that. And the biggest mistake was made by two gentlemen, very senior. Mr. Naganand, who is here, and Mr. K.P. Kumar, for proposing my name. Mr. Naganand, there's nothing there to say about him. He is an institution. There is no branch of law that he has not dealt with. I can openly tell you this. Several judges today who are there have briefed him so that he would appear. That is his standing in the country. Any matter of substantial importance with the judges would require guidance. Amicus curiae would be Mr. Naganand. But even a great man can make some errors, and you're seeing that in front of you. But it's indeed a privilege for me to be here, because I must say that these gentlemen are all chartered accountants, and the institute is the forum which made us confident. My friend Raghu will agree with me that we have been always together in this journey for such a long time from college. You will agree with me that the institute has set a platform from which only people can envy. They can envy the institute because of the kind of professionals that we have here. The varied kind of professionals, the subject depth that they have. Mr. Padam Kincha was very kind to say that whatever he said about me. But I would only think that we all grew up seeing you and Mr. Ravishankar, Mr. Naganand, Mr. Shankar. At least I can say that. We all grew up seeing you people. We learned from you. There's nothing unique which we have done. We've simply followed what you did. And once we followed what you did, whatever has come to us, came to us naturally. There was no accident, sir. It is by design. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we request Chythanya sir to address.
The dignitaries on the dais, Mr. Naganand, Mr. Shankar, Mr. Ravishankar, Raghu, and others, and my dear learned friends. Just to add what my learned friends have spoken about the CA Institute. As Mr. Naganand mentioned, on this designation, there could be some controversies. Something was, like taking place as to what shall be the cutoff to designate. We have a process where marks are given for different slots. And the most authentic information I have is that whatever be the cutoff they would have set, the chartered accountants would have been through. They may have included so many others, they couldn't have excluded any of the chartered accountants. That is this profession. When I became an advocate, I had an occasion to appear before Justice Dattu.
Mr. Shankar would agree that it's very, very difficult to get an order from him in your favor. I committed the error of not carrying the act. He was furious. How is it that you have not carried the Entry Tax Act? In respect of which I was arguing on an admission. I was able to convince him without the aid of the act. Then he asked me, who is your senior? I said, I don't have a senior. I was a chartered accountant. I just converted the color of my coat. Issue notice, stay granted. Issue notice, stay granted. No further arguments, no further hearing. He was dictating something. I didn't even know the basic protocol which an advocate will have to do when the judge is dictating. I just thought my job is over and turning away. Mr. K.P. Kumar was sitting behind me, just stay there, stay there. The job is not yet over. And if I am here today, of course, thanking my parents and my gurus in the early days, I will have to remember and give my deepest respect to Mr. Padam Kincha and Mr. Ravishankar. They are my two gurus for two different reasons. Academically, it is Mr. Kincha who could make the most ordinary person look extraordinary by sheer patience. He has exemplary patience. He would make you sit before you, make you commit errors, make you realize the errors which you have committed, and then come out to the solution without you feeling that you are in any manner less than anyone else, and ultimately giving credit to you. So whatever he said about me is all because of him. And it is not just that he has done it to me, even to his colleagues who work with him, who are privileged to work with him, who are fortunate to work with him. The way he treats them, the kind of respect he gives to them, something which you could only envy, you cannot emulate. So at one occasion I asked him, sir, you're so good, and you don't believe people from across the country come to him whenever they would want to take a tax position. They are goddamn scared as to what if something could go wrong. If there is one person they will look, is Mr. Kincha. He can give you impromptu 200 situations you could get into if you take a particular tax position. It's a different matter. Clients take the risk, but he would know what is in store for him. It's because he is able to envisage the problems. People like you could struggle to give answers to him, but the credit goes to person who envisages the problem, because if there's no problem, question of finding a solution to it wouldn't arise. So at one occasion I asked him, sir, you're so good. You don't care about billing clients. Why is all this? He said, there are two goddesses, Goddess Lakshmi and Goddess Saraswati. I go after Goddess Saraswati. I don't even look at Goddess Lakshmi. So I tried to follow him, but somehow I've gone with both. And Mr. Ravishankar, if I could call myself as being into ethical practice, it is Mr. Ravishankar. Those days, now I came to Bangalore. I will also have to mention Mr. N. Ramesh, who is distantly related to me from my mother's side, who offered me articleship when I had not even visited Bangalore in his farm. And his co-brother helped me get into PricewaterhouseCoopers, Mr. Rajshekar Hulla. And when I was doing my CA, I attended the classes of Mr. Kincha and Mr. Ravishankar. And as soon as I qualified, I went to Mr. Ravishankar's office. And the advice he gave me is still here. He said, "One angadigi hogi lekka bari lancha kodbada." If you don't get professional assignments, don't bother. Go and write accounts. It's more honorable than doing anything else in the department. And I followed that. And following it is not a very rosy field, and you will have turbulent times. In one of such turbulent times, it is Mr. Shankar who just didn't care for anything else, and he told me one thing. It is because of people like you and Mr. Ravishankar, Male Bele Agatte. I don't know if he remembers this. And he came out in full support to help me out of the turbulent time which I got in. You could have problems simply because you just go and argue matters and come back. Don't think that, turbulent times don't come to you just because you stay yourself. So one of those moments, Mr. Shankar, I would say, help me out. And because of, when I qualified, one of my friends came and mentioned to me, you have passed your CA final. I just took my scooter, came to the JC Road Institute building. Mr. Kincha was having a chat with Mr. Anil, and they were having chat with the then chairman of Bangalore branch. Mr. Kincha told me that, look, you have troubled me enough as you were a student. Tomorrow you are teaching CA inter students. He did not even allow me to enjoy passing my CA final exam. And there are so many errors which Mr. Raghuraman, in the lighter vein mentioned. And I reciprocate that. In the error which me and Raghu jointly committed, we chose to become lawyers. We had already enrolled for law in respectively different colleges, but never ever went and wrote the exams. And when we got together as partners, as chartered accountants, we decided we will re-enroll in another college and would go and do law. And the principal insisted that we'll have to attend the classes. We just requested him, allow us for one semester and see the results. After seeing our results in the first semester, he called both of us and said, you don't have to attend any classes. This is also due to background as chartered accountant. So I would thank you all for giving this wonderful opportunity. And it's a great honor for a small shishya like me with great guru like Mr. Ravishankar to be designated together. There cannot be a greater honor than this. And it's also an immensely honorable thing for Mr. Kincha to speak good of me, irrespective of what I deserve. So I would thank each one of you for having heard me patiently. Thank you, one and all. Bye.
Thank you, sir. What a joyous occasion, complimenting one another, patting their back one another, appraising. It's a very nice occasion. It's like we can say sometimes Guru Shishira Samagama Sangama, Gnana Ratragala Sangama. We can say. Now, I request, can we have a panel discussion, sir? With your permission, can we have a panel discussion for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? Okay. I request Sanjay Darwal to take for the session.
A very good evening to all of you, and I welcome my panelists here. I do not know how many of you know me, sir, but I have been a student of all 5 of you. I still remember when we were launching our indirect taxes certification course, and that was the first time it was launched in India. When we were part of the indirect tax committee of the institute, and I asked Madhukar sir, whom should we call for the, I could get speakers for every topic because Karnataka is the base for indirect taxes as far as knowledge belt was concerned at that time. So I said, I'm not getting anybody to speak on the constitution. And then the final answer came is that nobody better than Mr. S. Naganand sir would be there to teach us about it. And he was very graceful enough to be the first speaker on the indirect taxes committee, and you had come and bailed us out. And then I could understand the difference that we may pat our backs to say that we are chartered accountants, but the knowledge of the constitution, the way it is to be dealt with and the way it is to be spoken and interpreted, I think the advocates do it the best, sir. And even in 1992, I remember one of the sessions when you and Nagin Bhai were speaking in the income tax, one of the conferences, and I was a student at that time. And then in the evening, I was having a very close attachment towards Padam Bhai, and that is one of the basic reasons I did not do my articleship under him, because in the comedy of errors, what happened was in 1988-89, I requested Padam Bhai to come to our college to inspire us about and teach us about salary as a section under the income tax law for the BCom students. I knew that there were basically 3 sections which deals with salary. After that, I forgot that the whole act deals with salary. And when Padam Bhai came over there, around 5 of my classmates decided not to do CA. And I was bent upon doing law. And I said, if this is, and one of my friends asked Padam Bhai that, is it necessary that you should know all this as a chartered accountant? And he very politely said yes. So that was the changing phase in my life, that I moved from the CA practice to, from the law practice, which I wanted to do as a lawyer, I converted to CA. I've done my law also, but never took the membership at the bar. So Padam Bhai has been inspirational for me. Then Shankar sir also, we have been hearing a lot about it. Then I've spoken to Padam Bhai about yes, Naganand sir, to ask him that why you always say the chartered accountants are more important, then why is it that he converted himself to an advocate? I think this is one question I would like to ask you, sir, that you being the pioneer in the CA profession to get into this thing, because most of us always say that we are much superior. But when it comes to, this is what I asked Padam Bhai, he did give me an answer, but I would like to have it from the horse's mouth as to what is the exact answer for this, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I had a certificate of practice for 1 year. Then I used to sit in my father's chamber and attend to a lot of matters there. I used to appear in original side on agriculture income tax meeting. Then one day I realized that there was a fairly large volume of litigation in my office, in my father's chambers, which dealt with corporate law, company law, many matters under the Companies Act, and a few indirect tax matters related to post-manufacturing expenses. And in the father's chamber, only he was handling this branch of work. So one day we had a discussion, and I think my dad also spoke to my uncle, who was a chartered accountant, S.G. Keshumurthy. And both of them felt that I think, this would be a better field to develop the office in the chambers, because there was a very large volume of work which no one is handling. And it would be of assistance to my father. So I think that is the main reason why I switched. Of course, they gave me the choice, saying if you want to continue as a CA, we have no problem. But I also reflected on it, and I thought I agreed with them. Therefore, I switched.
Thank you very much, sir. The second panelist here is Shankar sir. We have always heard him, and whenever he has spoken, it has always been great words. The way he interprets, I think we always forget that, okay, we are listening to a poet, or are we listening to a tax person? Because normally when you listen to him talking about the taxes also, it's more like a poetry flowing out. I do not know how do these gentlemen, great gentlemen so here, including Padam Bhai and all, and Anil sir also, Rajendra Rao sir also, they have all been our teachers, including Mondas Pai, for me at least. That how do you all basically come out with all this? Is it the poetry which is able to get you into taxes, or the taxes gets you into the poetry, sir?
The individual who is in profession requires an opportunity to de-stress himself. I, as a matter of policy from my college days, have been read poetry very regularly. Whether I read income tax or not, every day morning, as soon as I get up, some people do slokas, Bhagavad Gita. I read poetry. I have the best poetry collection called the Markham Poetry Collections, which has 3,500 poems. I start most of my days reading 4 lines, 5 lines from some poem, slowly by heart them. In fact, today morning I was reading a very interesting poem called Ratisbon. About the First World War, Napoleon. In fact, the description of how a Napoleon stands itself is wonderful. If I may not be fully correct, broadly it reads like this. We stormed Ratisbon, A mile or so away, Napoleon stood on the storming day. With neck out thrust you fancy how, arms locked behind, as if to balance the prone brow, oppressive with its mind. Just perhaps he mused, his army leader lands wavered the yonder wall. Out twixt the battery smoke a rider flew, bound and bound, full galloping until he reached the mount. Off he swung in smiling joy and held himself erect, a boy you hardly could suspect. You got your at his bend. Marshal is the marketplace, and you'll be there, anon, to see your flagbird perch his vans, where I to harsh as I perched him. The chief's eyes flashed. His plans soared up like fire, but presently softened itself a sheath as a film a mother eagle's eye, when a bruised eaglet breathes. You're wounded. Nay, smiling, the boy fell dead. Practice well. So if this thought process of reading English literature, Kannada literature, why Kuampu? ಕಾಲಿಲ್ಲದ ಅಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೇನು ಕಾಲಿಲ್ಲದ ಅಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಗೂನಾದರೇನು ನನಗಿಲ್ಲದ ವಿಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೇನು. This is how the politician behaved today. ಕಾಲಿಲ್ಲದ ಅಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೇನು ನನಗಿಲ್ಲದ ವಿಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ. Reading literature in any language is an amazing, give a thought process for your tax laws, as you have been saying. A very small book with variations from the normal common law, transfer of property laws and other laws. Tax laws are always saying, if everybody goes in a straight line, tax people go on the crooked line. This is precisely what. If they say registration is necessary, you will say registration is not necessary. If you say this, everything opposite to common sense. That is why when we are actually arguing before a civil judge, it takes a lot of time for us to explain to him that it is not as simple as the Transfer of Property Act, the Income Tax Act is. It has much more than it. Reading a poetry has given me a lot of calmness, has given me my de-stressing things, because thanks to my mentor, in our office we always used to say, our office has only TTT cases. What is this TTT cases? Everybody used to say, we had Tante, Tarle, Takrar. These are the three cases we had in our office. We don't have great corporate work which gives you interpretation of law. Every case is somebody would have been raided, somebody would have been taken a statement at gunpoint. I still remember one of my very earliest cases, a Samarlal, which all of us know. He sent a brief to me. The background of the case was, there is a foot-over bridge in front of Santosh and Artiki Theatre, which all of us are aware, who have walked in KG Road. One income tax officer took a client at 2 o'clock in the night, took a gun out, told him, I will shoot you if you don't declare. 6 crores declaration in 80-85 we took. And then that case had a checkered history. We retracted. I went to him. As usual, I used to carry a long bag when I go to the income tax. Those days I had a small Swega moped. Then he never even asked me to sit. He said, what have you come from? Sir, I got 2 retraction letters. One is I've written everything as you have said may affect your career. The other one is I have not told the truth, but I have retracted. Choice is yours. I am trained under Venkatation. Well, I don't want, you're a young officer, I don't want to. Do you know, I can remove you from the profession. I was a chartered accountant. Don't worry, sir. I still have my law profession. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'm coming to that, sir. Now, coming to Ravishankar, sir. I think I have great gratitude to you, sir. I still remember during K. Raghu's time, when he was the Sikasa chairman, he had allowed me to be taking up my first assignment as a speaker, as a student in the students' conference in Bangalore. And you were one of the chairmen for the company law session, and for income tax session, I had Mr. Chandrakant Rao. So after that session was over, and that whole paper was discussed in detail with Padambai, with all the answers from him also. Me and Anish were partners at that time on the paper also, and we had discussed that with Padambai, taken all the thing, and he said, you'll have a great time. Ravi is also coming there. We didn't know you much, but I just knew 2 things about you, that you used to value our income tax answer sheets for the tests we used to have in the intermediate. And you were one of the few people who gave me 71 marks and you wrote good. And B.S. Venkatesh is another friend of mine. His father is sitting here, and he got 70 marks and you wrote very good to him. So I was always wondering that when a person gets 71 marks, you say good, and for him you said very good. So once in that Mangalore trip also, I'd asked you this question, sir, how is it that 71 is good and 70 is very good? He said, Sanjay, how many case laws and sections did you refer in your answers? I think that guy would have written all the sections in case laws, and that is what B.S. Venkatesh had written across. And that was the reason why you had written for him very good and for me good. So this was the level of, I would say, the determination and the inputs sir used to give. Even as a valuer, he used to go through it. And even at that time, sir was known as an indirect tax specialist, advisor to the Kelkar committee. I still remember when Mr. Kelkar had come to the Infosys building when we were talking about the VAT implementation and the draft law was being discussed. When we gave certain suggestions, Ravishankar sir stood up and told that this can be done like this. I think it is right. Then we asked Kelkar sir, Vijay Kelkar. One of the most brilliant people I have ever met was Mr. Vijay Kelkar. Like around 40, 50 people sitting over there, he would basically not write down a single word, but he would know who spoke what. That was the level of memory he also had. And then we asked Kelkar sir, will this be point taken care of? He said, agar Ravishankar saab ne bol diya, to ho gaya. I think that was the respect what Ravishankar sir always got from the great personalities. You will not remember because there are many compliments like this for you, sir. Yeah. So this is the evidence of another senior counsel basically talking about his colleague now. And today, if I'm in indirect tax practice, I remember after that paper was presented, I had the privilege of Ravishankar sir asking a student a question on that. It was on section 80U, which you never would have done so. And I did not know how great a personality he is. And when we are young, we always have the arrogance. So I just removed the act and I said, sir, if you want, you can check section 80U. I still remember that section, and the question was, if you become handicapped on 31st of March of the year, are you at the end of the working hours, are you still eligible to claim the ATU benefit? Ravi Shankar said it is not as per the intent, you should not get. I said, you can get because the act is silent on it. It says that as on 31st of March, that is till midnight, if you're there, you can claim it. So sir did not agree. And being a student, and you know, you have lots of arrogance when you present papers because you think that you're really brilliant. We didn't know what brilliance actually means. You see it on the stage today. And I just gave the act to sir. In his humility, he removed the section. The boys had gone for the discussion for the other questions and all that. He read it and he said, Sanjay, you were right. Then he said, I'll do one thing. I'll talk to your principal. You're not getting into indirect tax practice, direct tax practice. You're coming into indirect tax practice. I am highly benefited with your advice always, sir. And then I said, sir, my principal is not Padam Bhai, because most of them thought that as an article under Padam Bhai because of the thing. I said, my boss was Kiran Chandji Nahar. Then he said, no problem, I'll ask Padam to speak to them. So, sir, a question to you. You had asked a question in 1992 to the students that time. So I'll ask you the same. You asked us the question, we answered it, but you did not give your answer to that. You had asked that as an article clerk, if your boss asks you to get a cup of tea, should you get it or should you not get it? Because that was a part of the training. In that time, I had given my answer. When most of my friends said that you are an article clerk, you should not get it done. I said, my boss asks me to get it, I do it because I believe he says that this is your office. So in my house, I do all the work. So why not over here? But you did not give the answer that time. I did ask you at that time. You said, no, leave it. So, sir, what do you think that when we train our articles, should we train them in a way that they believe it is their office and make them do these things, or just give them the technical expertise? Because I remember when we came to your office to discuss certain things as students for quiz programs and all, you used to serve us tea. So,
very recently,
philosophy.
Very recently, I came across, in regard to the last limb of what you were mentioning, very recently I came across a situation where I think Justice Chandrachud was the Chief Justice of India, the senior Chandrachud, and YB Justice Yashwant Chandrachud. I believe it is the tradition in his family to prepare tea in the morning. The tradition is that the eldest male, the family, as soon as he gets up, makes tea and serves all the people in the house. So that is the tradition. So if you look at what you asked me, so this particular tradition probably rubs off in some families. In my family, my grandfather, I remember, used to make coffee for all of us. We used to be in a joint family in the 60s. So he used to make tea for almost 27 or 28 people in the house. And then my father would make filter coffee in the mornings when we were here in Vasanagar. So today, I don't know for what reasons, ours is a nuclear family of 3 people. My daughter is in London for the last few years, and we're just 2 of us. She makes her tea, I make my tea. And
Both are lawyers, sir.
Unfortunately, so anyway, she makes her tea, I make my tea. And that tradition probably is not followed today. If you look at our profession, we used to have some people who were asked to sweep the floor of the office also as article clerks. I had a friend in Belgaum, I won't name him. He's, I think, about 3 or 4 years senior to me. No, he must be about 7 years senior to me. He would be asked to, a very humble Jain family, he would be asked to sweep the floor of his principal's office in the morning. This was somewhere in the 70s before he, qualified. And he would scrupulously and, as a matter of routine, sweep the floor, clean the office, and keep everything neat and tidy. When his principal comes, he was make sure that everything is spick and span for him to work. The day he finished his intermediate and informed his principal that this is the result, because the result percentage and the number of people who would pass in that region was abysmally low those days. In the 70s, I think some would bear testimony to that, those who qualified in the 70s, I don't know. So after that day, or and from that day, he was prevented from doing the job, and the principal engaged a servant to do this job. But then people wouldn't mind. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, my principal, who was a contemporary of Padam's father, so late Mr. Hukmichand Kincha, who was a very great chartered accountant. My principal was his contemporary. They were very close friends. He would call me when his daughter got married. He called me, "Poite Vijaya Bank po. Vijaya Bank poite. You need to draw this much. Then from there you go to the Indian Bank, draw this much." I think Anil's father was very close to my senior. He said, "You go and do all this." These were errands which we were asked to do, but we wouldn't feel it's below our dignity or whatever, doing all this. And he was incidentally Raghu's uncle also. So we would never feel that there's anything wrong in our being asked to do so. But there were people in my own office. We had about 23 article clerks in my office, and I had the sort of privilege of being the senior most article clerk in that office for 11 months. And it so happened that on some occasions, the boys would feel bad when he would ask them to do it. But when I would say, "Hey, Mado idu anta helidre manbidu." So it all depends on the type of human relationship which we build with our people. And this is how I have been trained. And I never feel that there's anything wrong. Even now, sometimes in the office, if someone has not yet come in, I go and do something and they say, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" They say, "There's nothing wrong in doing this." I go and dust some of the books that are sitting on the tables of some of my juniors. And unfortunately for them, today I removed the board in front of my office. There was a fairly big board for the last 19, 20 years. And when we moved to Racecourse Road, I removed the board also because I wanted to, I somehow keep reading about this Lincoln's Inn and Gray's Inn. The barristers are supposed to, those who are designated as Queen's Counsel, they can't meet even a solicitor. They have to meet only another barrister who briefs them. The barrister can meet a solicitor, but the solicitor comes through the servant's door. It doesn't come through the main door. I think the tradition is set long before when there were sergeants who later became, that sergeants institution was abolished. And there's a sort of a tradition that you don't display your name outside the place where you work. And your house, your office, everything is in the same, what you call, in the Inns of Court, as they call them, huge campuses. I have not been abroad. I don't have a passport. Though my family keeps, my wife and daughter keep traveling. I think Shankar and Mr. Naganand would have gone to London and seen the Inns of Court. My daughter keeps telling me, we have been here for 4 years, you have not come here. Now she's likely to get settled there. So the Inns of Court, the tradition is that you have your own, camaraderie there. You can't dine with anyone who's not of that inn. Yeah, now that is simplified. A member of the Lincoln's Inn can dine with a Gray's Inn member. It was not so till until last 15 years. It was not there. Now the tradition is that, like a chartered accountant being prohibited from dining with a cost accountant, is so hidebound. The tradition used to be very hidebound. So what I did was today I removed the board. Some of my colleagues in the office, they had been outside. Then when they came, they said, why have you dismantled the board? Francis is dismantling the board. I said, no, I have told you before that we are not going to have a board outside the office. And you guys, they have their own firm. So I said, you guys operate without the board. Sir, how is it possible? I said, it's possible. Postman knows the office. Sir, post barodilla inadu Koreal barte osthavana barada phone ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. Phone number is written there. So there is nothing there. So no board there. So I don't feel that there is anything, wrong in not having a board. So your dignity or all that, or asking you to get tea or wiping a book or something, I don't think there's anything wrong in someone asking you to do that. And if you do it with some sense of joy, or if you say that's a privilege. For example, Kanchi Paramacharya, the mutt here, the local branch of the, in Malleswaram, I think Shankar would, know the place. There, the accounts of the Kanchi Paramacharya's local chapter used to be audited and certified by Masirya for I don't know how many decades. He would, for some reason, pick somebody who's, if anyone is given that particular docket to finalize the accounts, he is his favorite. And he would do it very briskly. I remember Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya mentioning at a felicitation program a few years back, I think about 22 years back, we had a felicitation for my principal. So Justice Venkatachalaya told me that Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya, who's now 92 years, his father, Mr. Narayan Rao, I think Mr. Naganand would know about Mr. Narayan Rao, M. Narayan Rao. So Mr. M. Narayan Rao, I believe, would bring Mr. Venkatachalaya, Justice Venkatachalaya, when he was a youngster, along with him to my senior's office. Mr. Rangaratnam would ask only senior Venkatachalaya father to take a seat, and he would just keep quiet. And Justice Venkatachalaya, I believe, would just stand, and he would briskly say, "Give me that." And he didn't know Kannada probably. He said, and he would do that. So like that, this Kanchi Mutt papers used to be briskly given. That's all, no words. And if you commit a mistake, you had it. But if you have not committed a mistake, if he just sees the papers within half an hour and doesn't shout over the phone, everything is fine. We never used to mind these types of things, those days, 40 years back when we were articles. Today, it could be different. I think the situation today is also not as bad as it used to be in some of the offices where we would hear horror stories about not granting leave and about so many other types of sort of emotional blackmailing which people would resort to, not paying them, and we would get 30 rupees, 50, 60 rupees, whatever. Now, of course, that was fixed by the institute. Today, the situation is not all that bad.
No, members are blackmailed by the articles.
I believe.
Nowadays, members are blackmailed by the articles. Okay, so I will go now to Mr. Raghuraman, sir.
Sanjay.
Anil, sir. Yes, sir. Anil, sir.
As an indirect tax specialist,
yes, sir.
Did you get the clue why all these 5 people became advocates from Ravishankar's speech?
No. I am no more an indirect tax specialist today because I've put indirect taxes into
Can we remove the board from our offices?
Who stops you, sir?
No. Who will come and, by law, we are required by an indirect tax, we are required to put up the board in the offices.
Lawyers are not covered under GST, na?
Now you got it.
Raghuraman sir, again, I have had one. Yes, sir. Shankar
That is
sir.
why lawyers and lorry drivers are treated together in GST. Both
Reverse charge. Raghuraman sir has also been my teacher. I remember in the CA final, he used to come to teach us Companies Act. He used to only carry the bare act of the Companies Act, read it out and read the section and explain us the section beautifully. I also had the advantages of he being a chairman for Mr. Madhu Gopinath in Hampi when we were students and we had gone for a RRC of the student section, and Ravishankar sir was also there. And I had the privilege of asking some notorious questions to you, and Ravishankar sir interfered in between to answer that. But always a gem. And I remember when he came to my office inauguration in '93 when I started my office, and my brother was also there, and my brother said, "He's Raghu." I said, "No, he's Mr. Raghuraman, my teacher." He said, "No, he's Raghu." Then I said, "What?" Then he said, "Yeah, we both were classmates in school." So he's also a Bolvinian. I'm also a privileged Bolvinian. So welcome, sir. Now, one thing which I would like to ask you is that you moved from the journey from a chartered accountant, a ranker, then into the law practice, and now as a senior counsel. Is it really difficult to be a senior counsel because you normally specialize in areas of direct and indirect taxes, generally when you present your cases and all? Because I heard that the senior counsel should have a variety of experiences and all, but I have 5 of them sitting here. Yes, Naganand sir is much different because he's been into all the other, into constitution, into trust and everything. But is it really tough to be a senior counsel because you are into more of a tax field?
How difficult or easy is this? How difficult or easy you approach the subject? And I would only say this: nothing is not interrelated. Means everything is related. So if you don't have a fair understanding of constitution, the provisions, it's difficult to practice tax law in high courts, Supreme Courts. You can do the appellate side practice, but you can't do the writ side practice. It will be difficult. If you don't know civil law, it will be very tough to practice even tax law because several, see, I can give you an example. Substantial question of law, which comes in section, in all our sections in the indirect and direct taxes. Probably, it's the case laws flow from section 100 of the, and several decisions there. So, if you know more legislations and interpretations, it's always the better for you because you will be in a position to handle similar language in tax. And the judges, as Mr. Naganand and Mr. Shankar were telling, judges are no civil law better than tax. So if you are able to grasp some important points in civil law or give a civil judgment in the civil side, the judges will be able to appreciate it better. So I would say that being a senior counsel is difficult or any such thing, because if you have been designated as a senior, I think the court would have seen you, and probably your discipline has got you there. So only what you need to probably do is start honing your skills and read other laws also, which will make it better
More
for you to
easier.
understand tax laws, especially. This is what I would think. So I don't think it's a difficult
So
thing.
what would you advise the youngsters today that to continue, if they are chartered accountants and also done the law, that would you advise them to get into the CA profession and retain them, or to get into the advocacy profession?
I am not a guy who can, I don't think I'm fit enough to advise the youngsters today.
At least we are inspired by you, sir.
Maybe, but I would not make the error of advising you on those. So many. No, these are errors made to you people. My errors, I will not. I will not commit that error. I will tell you why.
The institute doesn't allow you to do law with CA now, as it would be the.
What happens is,
Sorry?
they gave me permission to enroll as a lawyer.
Yeah, it used to happen.
then you can't go to civil court. Then if you have an economic offences court, you can't practice IPC is involved also in it. 34 IPC many times they involve. You can't practice in the then I.
More questions, sir. Sorry.
Please, sir. It's
You have to answer Ravi's question. You've been the counsel for the CA Institute on all disciplinary matters. Please tell me about article paper coffee. What is the disciplinary action on that?
Actually, this is not a joke. Many years ago, I did handle a case where there was a complaint like this by an article against his boss, saying that he was being forced to do menial jobs in the office and went to inquiry, disciplinary committee went into that. And finally, they gave a benefit of doubt because the principal said, many of them are there. If I'm sitting and I said, if somebody get me a coffee, and it's not that I'm giving him an order to go and get me a cup of coffee or sweep the floor or anything like that. So they gave him benefit of doubt. But I take the point what Ravishankar was mentioning. It all depends on the relationship. I cannot forget this. When I got married, Ravindran was my father's first junior. All marriage arrangements. I lost my mother many years earlier, so there was nobody at home to do all this buying, this, that, and arranging everything. So father used to sit with him and tell him, then shopping, he sent him with me to go shopping. Father was keen that I should get a new music system. So NR Road. So Ravi took me to NR Road office, selected a system. He was a good bargainer. He bought it and came. He was his junior. What I'm saying is the relationship between senior and junior depends on that. And he was more a family member, like my elder brother, rather than junior. In this case also, if it's in that sense, you can do anything. And to go back to Gurukula system, when you go as a Shishya to any Gurukula, first thing you do is do all personal seva for Guru. It's the first thing before he teaches you anything. Or batte hogibeku, dana karu idre nodkobeku, meisbeku, batte hogibeku. Idella, this is part and parcel of a Shishya's job. That very well settled in Gurukula. Of course, again depends on the relationship. Most seniors are in the legal profession, especially I know, they are very considerate. They pay them something and they look after their problems. In fact, in our office, my father had the privilege of finding out which of his juniors Upanayana had not done. And he organized Upanayana for not only juniors, at least 2 other clerks who had not performed. Our parents ಏನೋ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪನಯನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. No expenditure of this. See, what I'm saying is that's the relationship which is built up between the senior and the junior.
Right in this audience, but your dad's commitment to work and how he gained his last. Sorry, sad thing, but then
Yeah, no. I mean, see, my dad, about 10 years or so before he actually passed away at the age of 73, he had a slight, it was a mild stroke. And of course, I won't narrate all the details. We went to, it didn't affect him much. He was in hospital only for 1 day. Then he came back, some physiotherapy, and he got back to practice completely. At that time, we went to a doctor. Dr. K.M. Mani was a very famous neurologist. A lot of tests were done, everything. Then he sat down in the office and Dr. Mani asked him, "Sir, do you want me to tell you the truth?" Father said, "Of course you have to tell me the truth. I'm a patient and you tell me what it is." Before he could react, he said, "What's the worst you're going to tell me? I have only a few days to live, isn't it? My bag is packed. I'm ready to go." These are the words he uttered. Of course, he recovered after that. See, just see the mental stature and the posture of your mind. Then 10 years he practiced, there's no problem whatsoever. Yet, hale and hearty, 1 week before he died, he went to a famous doctor, he checked everything, Allah chanagide hogi sir anta kalsudru. That day, previous day, there was a very interesting case related to BIFR. So usually whenever, even if it was senior engagement coming from some other lawyer for father, whenever he thought that I would be of assistance, he would send me the file. He would leave office about 7 o'clock and I would be usually late. So he said, "Ee file in Tawamba, note kon Tawamba." I took the file, I read, and by practice was to leave it in his room before he goes to bed. And morning he would get up early, read it. And if he still has a doubt, he would summon me. 6:30, I would sit with him. That was the practice. So that morning he called me. He had a lot of doubts. Ella clarify aitu. He came to court. He argued that case before Justice Thakur. He was dead against him. He said, no, no, we are not going to admit this case. I'll dismiss it. After 45 minutes, he made out a point. And the judge said reluctantly, okay, I'll issue notice, but I'm not giving you stay. Okay, notice put in. Afternoon, he came back and he attended a matter in Justice Mohan Kumar's court. Arun Jaitley was his opposite side. Arguments are over, and Arun Jaitley said, I want to file some papers in court. So the judge said, where I don't see Mr. Sundarsamy, please get him. And then he had just left, he had gone down. So somebody went running and told him, sir, judge is calling you. Again, he came up the staircase. As soon as the judge saw him, said, Mr. Sundarsamy, Arun Jaitley wants to file some papers. Is it okay? Can I receive them? He was at the bar. By all means, my lord, he said, bowed down and just collapsed in court. And that was the end. I mean, nobody could do anything. And you see what I'm saying, the commitment. And after that, this is something which is very unique. We have to bear that in mind. How we have to be ready for everything in life. There was not one single paper on his table which remained unattended. There was nothing. In his briefcase, I mean, this death happened like this. His briefcase was there. He died with his robes on. And if you see his office files, 2 files had been given. He had written a note on that, given it to Govind Bhatt, one of his juniors, to say, not here. And in his briefcase, there was nothing. Not one unattended thing. And his entire estate, we didn't take more than 5 minutes to sort out his estate. 5 minutes also we took because we had to just write checks. What I'm saying is, see, commitment to profession and your personal life has to be clean. It has to be straight. It has to be 100% commitment. There's nothing like I'll do something tomorrow. You never know tomorrow whether you're going to live or not. That's how we live. They are ideals. I've written about all this in my book, which fortunately will be available on Amazon. Those of you who are interested can probably have a look at it.
So when is it being released, sir?
Story released a few days ago, but today we had a small book release discussion. It's called Story of the Clan, A Legacy Untold. Available on Amazon. Maybe you'll see a lot of things about both.
Yeah. Chaitanya, sir.
I finished your
yes, sir.
question,
Sorry.
the answer. About this advice which you were telling to
Yeah.
the youngsters, generally I ask them and I take their advice nowadays. Because trend is different. But only one thing I would like to mention. If you have a flair for chartered accountancy and not law, I think you should simply go ahead with that. And if you have a flair for law, you should simply go ahead with that. There is no such thing as, you should switch over or you feel that the attest functions are very onerous and you should not do it. And, I find a lot of these complaints coming. I don't think that is valid. Attest functions are going to remain. People will require chartered accountants. There will be a lot of regulations coming in. That doesn't mean you should not follow your profession. Every profession is, I believe, entitled to its sanctity. The members who follow it properly would get success in that.
Thank you very much, sir. And I also thank Naganand, sir, for sharing the incidents of his father and inspiring us all. I think one thing we have to learn from all these senior members is that they start the days before 6 o'clock in the morning. They're totally committed to the work. They deliver everything. And in addition to the super specialization in the field of law, what they are into, I think each one of them has a super unique hobby or mastering in a different field. You heard Shankar sir on poetry. You have not heard about Mr. Raghuraman writing a book on astrology. I think this is what he had been around 20 years back, sir, or 25 years back. Ravishankar sir, he loves to play music. He's an excellent cook. And he's always been an inspiration, not just for the 9 people who have become advocates as CAs, but I think hundreds of students he's inspired us. Hundreds of chartered accountants or thousands of chartered accountants is inspired. With the way he used to interpret the section, we used to feel that we are in the Shakespeare's play. That's the way, like the comma, the full stop, the punctuations, that's what we have learned. And from them, the students who came out, like Mr. Raghuraman, Mr. Chythanya. Mr. Chythanya, I would like to put you across that even you had come to that Hampi RRC when we were students and you were the chairman for the tax session over there. Can you tell something that what you feel should chartered accountants inspire the students or the articles and how? Because I think as Mr. Nagraj Gupta rightly put across that from 85 to 95, those who are in practice have really reached peaks in the profession in super specialization. We are not seeing that same from the subsequent batches. So what do you think is lacking in the present generation? And tax litigation is a topic given to me. I don't want to get into that topic because there's much more important for us to learn from all of you. And that is, what do you feel should be the way chartered accountants can inspire? We have seen Padambai inspiring, we have seen Ravishankar sir inspiring, we have seen lots of our seniors inspiring. But what do you think is now lacking in the present professionals, which they are not able to motivate their juniors? Today, most of the juniors are going into employment and practice. Comments on this, sir.
The answer is found in Mr. Padam Kincha, Mr. Ravishankar. How did they inspire us? They taught us. No one inspires better than a teacher. So if you would expect the present generation chartered accountant to inspire their students or their juniors, the best way is to go academic about it. You would know Mr. Acharya from Chennai, who Gurraj Acharya from Chennai, originally from Mangalore, successfully, continuously won Central Council elections just because he taught. We all, got inspired because of the teaching, and we were inspired to teach, and that is how we were also able to inspire our juniors. I would say for the present day chartered accountants, the best way to inspire is to go out and teach. And secondly, the honesty to the clients, most important thing. As they are into practice, how honest are they to their clients? How do they assure to their clients best of the services, irrespective of the result? So that has to be demonstrated to the juniors, that has to be demonstrated to the students. Like how Mr. Ravishankar mentioned about his boss, how Mr. Shankar mentioned about his boss. Obviously, Mr. Ravishankar's boss and Mr. Shankar's boss never taught, but they inspired, respectively, each of them on the basis of their practice. So one is to go out and teach, two is to demonstrate through your own practice, being honest to the client and honest to the subject you are dealing with. These are the two ways, I would say, the chartered accountants would be in a position to inspire their and the junior.
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तत् इतरे जनः सयत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकास्तदनुवर्तते. Simple sloka from Bhagavad Gita. It says the manner in which the leaders are conducting themselves. Shreshtha is one who is a leader, who's in front of you. That is the one which people will follow. And the standards which those people set, that is the one which everybody will strive to achieve. As he rightly says, if our people who taught us the meticulousness with which they did things, and what we learn, learning is not only by hearing what they're saying, but by seeing how they're conducting themselves. How do they talk to a client? How do they conduct themselves in court? What is the approach you have to a opposite side professional? Because in our profession, tax lawyers ke atara problem illa. Other field we have all problems, because in one case, the junior who's instructing me in a case, in fact, it happened recently. One junior had instructed me to appear in a trademark, in a matter in the High Court, in a company matter. The same day, I was appearing against him in a matter in the lower court, in a trademark case. So this case reached, while he knew that I was arguing that case there against him. So he was in a dilemma. What do I do? If I tell him now, if I call him now, he'll think I'm disturbing him there because I'm his opposite side. What is there? There's nothing like that. That case is that case, this case is this case. I finished that and came back here. Then he was very relieved. The minute he saw me on the video screen, he said, I'm relieved. What I'm saying, this kind of problems are there. How do we conduct ourselves with other people? That is very important, That's the, the key to the whole thing is this, moral, ethical practices, high professional standard, which means that you must do hard work. There's no solution, to hard work.
That's all that we can, sum and substance of it is that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I thank all my panelists. And no, I will not take much time. I think we have already crossed all the limits of time. But I'm sure not a single person has got up from this meeting. It shows the fact that when the five Panchratnas speak, we want more and more. Ye dil mange more. Thank you very much, sir. But time is essence of the day. And I also thank the Bangalore chapter chairman and his whole team for giving me an opportunity. It is always a blessing in disguise that you can come where your teachers are there and you could ask them questions like I always used to do with Padam Bhai. And I remember the Mangalore session when after we went to him, he said, once you present your paper there, Sanjay, you'll stop asking questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. In substance, we can say that it was a great session. We can say there is no shortcut for your success. Knowledge is power. You have to work hard. Matter of integrity. You need to have a gratitude. So many. These are the things you need to imbibe in our day-to-day thing, and we can succeed ourselves. You can see gurus, they involve, they will influence and they inspire to do great things that we heard from their juniors. That is a great thing one guru can do to his juniors. Really, it was a great session. It is a Gnana Sangama, we can say, because among the Pancharatnas, we have other Gnana Ratnas, and it was a fantastic session. I thank all the senior advocates, part of this program, shared their valuable knowledge and time. Amidst their busy schedule, they came and be a part of this program. I thank all the senior councils for coming and part of this program. I thank on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICA. Give them a big round of applause. I request members to give a standing ovation to all the members. I request chairman to give a memento to the Sanjay Dariwal sir. I thank all the senior members, past chairmen, members presented virtually, physically, KCA team and president and team and all the members. Thank you all. Thank you. Please join us for tea in canopy, please.